It's only two things that's gonna happen if you're a real alcoholic and you run that to the end. Two things: prison and death. If you run being an alcoholic until the end, those are the two options. You're going to die from it, or you're going to sit down in prison from it. I got two stories from you. Two stories for you. My buddy Joe drank. I don't think he started drinking until he was in his early 30s. This guy was a pastor. He was a great guy. Ultimately, he died from this disease. What happened was, he was heartbroken, to protect his personal anonymity. I'm just gonna basically give you a rough glimpse in his story. He was having trouble in his relationship. They shared a lot of children together. And Joe was a great guy. He had a broken heart. What he was going through with this woman, she broke his heart. And she wanted him to do things and made him do things that he wasn't comfortable doing. It didn't sit right with him. This is a guy that was a pastor. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily her fault. I'm just saying this is why he was drinking, over a heartbreak, over a failing toxic relationship is why he was drinking. He was running a company. He was running his own business, which was starting to go in the tank. Scraping every last dollar from it. I was helping him with this company, driving him around and stuff. He was drinking and stuff, we're doing stuff. He's waking up with the shakes. I mean, he's drinking like a fifth of whiskey every day, at least. Like, he was sipping it. But in the mornings when I would kick it with him, he wasn't like just downing it first thing in the morning. He was sipping in the morning, but it's probably because he's been drinking all night and he's like trying to be a functioning alcoholic. So he goes through bursts. I met him in AA. He goes through bursts where he would get sober and he would go through like a schizophrenic withdrawal where it was the paranoid hallucination withdrawal symptoms. He went to treatment, detoxes. He was in and out of them. He was coming to AA completely emotionally wrecked. Every time he gets sober, it was just so hard for him to actually fully quit. So we got him to finally quit. I was like, Joe, this is going to be the last time where you ever have to withdraw. It's the last time. You're never going to have to withdraw again. Rest his soul, it was the last time he withdrew. But he passed away. And the reason he passed away is because he had completely quit. And for two days, he was completely dry. And in that time, because he cold turkeyed, he was going through this schizophrenic paranoid episode. He fell at his house, and I was at work one night, and he messaged me, or I was sleeping, and he messaged me at like 3 a.m. and was like, hey, I fell, and what he was saying wasn't making sense. I should have just went to his house. I always think back on that. Like, I wish I would have done things different, but I was like, you fell, like, are you okay? Do you need me to take you to the hospital? And he said something to me like no, like so-and-so's gonna come and do my laundry in the morning. I was like, what the fuck? Like, it doesn't make sense. I was like, well, I love you, bro. Like, if you need anything, let me know. Like, I also wasn't thinking straight because I was sleeping. Like, it was 3 a.m. And I figured what I would do is I would go the next day and check on him. So his mom hit me up at like 1:30 in the afternoon the next day. I slept in, and she's like, hey, I haven't heard from Joe. Will you go check on him for me? I was like, yeah. So I go over and check on him, and it was a really weird situation that the door to his apartment was cracked open. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is a guy that was paranoid the night before, thinking the day before when I left, thinking cops were outside and stuff. And I'm like, Joe, there's nobody here. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna keep my lights off and go in the closet. I was like, dude, like, there's no reason for anybody to be here. I'm looking outside, there's nobody here. Like, I'm about to leave, I'll call you and let you know. Like, and I did, and I was like, hey, there's nobody out here. This was the day before. So it was very strange that his door would be cracked open when he was so paranoid of the cops. So I opened the door, and sure enough, he's laying, white. When someone's dead, like white, cold to the touch, like just stunned me. I just wasn't prepared for that to even be a possibility. I walk in, he's laying, back down, face up, just sprawled out on the floor. It was a very, very fucking sad situation. And then I had to check his pulse, and to check a pulse on a stiff, lifeless, cold body, it's a fucking, just such a grim scene. Anyways, that was the story of how Joe passed away. Rest his soul. He was a great person to the day he passed away. He was the kind of guy where if you had nothing, he would give you the shirt off his back. If you had no cigarettes, he'd give you half a pack and get himself a new one. Like, this was a guy that loved people. This was a guy that truly cared. He just got wrapped up in this disease, in this addiction. It was alcoholism to the fullest extent. Rest his soul. That's a story on death from alcohol. He quit and it killed him. There's two things that can kill you from quitting, and it's alcohol and Xanax. So if you're going through any of that, don't go through that alone. Go to the hospital. Get your proper withdrawal medication. Have your vitals supervised. Get IV fluids. It's not anything to fuck with. Other story I have for you is a guy named Isaac. I looked at him like my little brother. And I looked at him like that because where he was at in life, it reminded me when I was 17, 18 years old, reminded me of me. He reminded me of a carbon copy of me at that age. So I looked at him like my little brother. Now, Isaac was honestly two different people when he was sober and when he was drinking. It's two completely different people. When he was sober, I'm not saying he was perfect, but compared to when he was drinking, he's completely different. I mean, this is somebody that I had help me on work, and I remember vividly one day that we were doing a big job, like a dirt job, grading job, redoing this person's whole entire backyard, and her probably 18-month-old daughter was outside playing, and Isaac was being so sweet with her and helping her move some dirt around and stuff, letting her play and think she was helping us and stuff. It was just it's always a vivid memory. This is the person he was when he was sober. He was he had a good heart. He genuinely did. Now, when he drank, it was a completely different story. Isaac ended up getting shit-faced drunk and felt like everybody was against him at this party, and really Isaac was probably the instigator in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it honest with you. I'm not gonna, obviously I wasn't there. I did see video footage, so it's looking at him like he's my little brother, and me being shit-faced drunk before and being in that mindset where he was probably at. I can put myself in his shoes to understand if things were slightly different in the situation. I could understand feeling like I needed to do what he did. And it's not giving him an out though. I'm not co-signing what he did at all. He had a couple chances where he could have left the situation, and he stayed. I mean, that's just the flat cutout period. There was multiple other guys that were surrounding him, even though I don't think these guys were being violent towards him. Isaac threw the first punch, then he fled, and he went to his car, and he had